First story. My girlfriend took a break from me and spent the summer with another guy, so she could be sure I was the one. My Sam 23M girlfriend, Zoe 23M, left me to be with another guy 2 years ago. She did this because she needed to be sure I was the one. I was absolutely devastated. This was a premeditated decision. In the spring of that year, we were both in college and had been together 6 years at that point. I was unaware, but she had been conversing with a guy in class. Feelings grew. She swore she never cheated or did anything physical or even met him outside of class. But they did have a lot of text conversations for the months leading up to her revelation. Just as the semester ended, she sat me down and told me she was going to go stay with him for the summer. He had just finished school and was moving to a new city and had an apartment lined up. She was going to stay with him for June and July, then return for our senior year. She offered me her phone and said I could read everything that was there. She wanted me to know she had not cheated. I was a mess. I love her immensely and did then as well. I was begging her to not do this. She tried to be as comforting and consoling as possible, but at the same time was steadfast she was going to do this. Her main reasoning being we had only ever been with each other, and she needed to know she wasn't missing out. I couldn't even begin to guess how many times she said she loved me still saw a potential future. And this was just to be sure. She even encouraged me to date. She left 5 days after this conversation. I tried so hard to get her to stay, but she went. I worked and did nothing else those entire 2 months. I didn't socialize, I barely ate, I barely slept. I went from 185 pounds to 165 pounds. She asked me to not contact her. I respected that. I was living in our apartment. Everything was a reminder, a trigger. It was the worst, most painful time of my life. I knew she would return, even if not for me. We still had a year to go in college. And she did return. 1 week sooner than expected. It was a Sunday and she just showed up at the apartment. She broke down in tears upon seeing me. I was so much thinner, eyes sunken, mildly unkempt. The apartment wasn't disgusting, but it wasn't nice either. She told me she knew just from looking at me that she had destroyed me. We both cried for a long time. She was so apologetic. She said she knows now. She wants me and only me. I was more than willing to take her back. We had a tense honeymoon phase upon her return, where we were both tiptoeing around each other, spending lots of time together, but also having this elephant in the room. That lasted a month or so when I started having the anxiety attacks. This is when we finally started to address some of the issues, which we had largely avoided. It couldn't have been timed worse as we started back to classes about this time as well. Over the next 9 months or so I became more and more depressed. I was verbally abusive at times. Zoe took it, everything I said. She always tried to reassure me, always took responsibility. I asked all the time what I had lacked. What could I do better? Why wasn't I good enough? What more did she need? She always said I was great the way I was. That she made the choice she did, not because any fault of my own, but out of her own immaturity. We discussed what her life those 7 weeks was like. Obviously it was a full sexual relationship. They went on dates, they slept in the same bed, showered together. That was our thing, at least to me it was. Talked about where this was going. I didn't think the wondering, the mind movies, would be easier to deal with than the truth. But I have a lot of days where I wish it was still just my imagination. The hardest part to cope with is she told me she returned early for me. But at the same time, after his initial 6 weeks he was offered the same position at another branch. That branch was about 5 hours away initially. He was only about 40 minutes away from our campus. They talked and decided that while this had been fun, he wasn't sure it was worth continuing long distance. She told me she had mixed feelings, which was to her an indicator to return to me and try and redeem herself. I, on the other hand, now endlessly wonder if she would have come back at all if not for him moving. That brings us to a year ago. I was still easily triggered. I still had my moments of name-calling and verbal outbursts. She always went into support and reassurance mode. But not this time. She teared up and said, "I deserve it, but I can't keep doing this." I realized then I was going to lose her again. I don't want to lose her. It was so hard the first time. I love her so much. At that point I rug swept everything. I stopped bringing it up. I stopped talking about my feelings about this, except in the most vague ways. If she brought it up or checked in on me, I played it off. Told her I was doing good and was in a different place now. We got engaged 6 months later. We just got married 2 weeks ago. Zoe has been everything a man could hope for this last year. I have regained my trust in her, and she goes out of her way to love and support me. I am a rising star at the office. I've been really pushing hard at work. I take on all the toughest jobs, and I have been hitting it out the park. I just got promoted, and with it a substantial raise. On top of that, I have made it a point to exercise regularly and eat well every day. I am in better shape than I ever thought I would be. With all that said, I make it point to spend as much time together with my now wife. Even if she just wants to chill and watch TV, I'll massage her shoulders or feet, play with her hair, soft touch her arms or back, the little things she likes. The response has been huge. She can't keep her hands off me. We are doing small trips together, and our non-physical intimacy is consistent and deep. But it's all born of insecurity. This is my problem. I am so driven at work, and the gym, and in the kitchen, and with my wife, because I am so terrified she will leave me again. I sometimes look up the guy on social media, just to make sure my career is going better. It is, that I am in better shape. I am. I don't want her to feel bad. I still feel so guilty of how I acted that first year we were back together. But it's hard pushing like this all the time. I'm just so afraid if I slip even a little, I'll lose her. I just got to stay focused and enjoy the little moments of rest that come. If I do that, I think I can make sure no one beats me again. Update. I didn't really plan on updating. That first post was just venting. But I have had a few people reach out to me seeing if I was doing okay, so I thought, why not? Zoe and I just celebrated our 1-year wedding anniversary last month. Our relationship is going very well. We bought a house. She is always asking me how she ended up with such an amazing husband. I have been busting ass extra hard lately. I hit a big bonus at work, and her job is doing well, although she has a lot more work stress now. I've been doing my best to help take the home stress off. Generally, getting up a bit early to make sure the house is back in order before we head to work each day. I don't want her spending her time thinking about that. I still remember how she said the guy was a bit of neat freak. She said that like it was a negative, but actually her quote was, "He was kinda a neat freak," which was nice, but made me feel all this pressure. Meaning she really liked that the place was always clean while she was with him. But I bet he got bent out of shape if things were left out by her. At least that's what I think she meant when she said that. That's why I get up early and take care of the place. I fix any mess she made or any dishes left overnight while she sleeps. That way she doesn't feel like it's her fault, or like I'm bothered by the small messes she makes. It's working well. We went to Hawaii for a full anniversary vacation, which was a place we've always talked about wanting to go to. We did a lot of touristy things, but mostly I was able to catch up on sleep. I normally only get 4 to 6 hours a night, so the extra helped out when I took on this really big client at work. If I do well on this one, another promotion could be in order. I rarely check on what the guy is doing now. His career hasn't grown as fast as mine, I can tell, and he has a bit more of a belly now. I know I'm beating him. He can't compete with me anymore. Zoe brought up trying for a baby soon, which is exciting. We can afford it, and it seems like the right time. However, I have been having some thoughts. Maybe you can weigh in for me. She has gotten pretty close with an older co-worker, Mrs. Weaver. Mrs. Weaver was telling her about some funny stories from the times she was pregnant. They had to do with her husband making silly mistakes, but she also told Zoe how he was super supportive throughout each time. Zoe said she thought this was a sweet story. I don't know exactly what she meant by sweet. It made me feel like her priorities are changing. It may not be enough to just be fitter and more successful than the others. I know there's at least one single dad at her office. To show her I can outdo him and any potential others, I started reading some books on how to best support your spouse through pregnancy, some do's and don'ts, a few other newborn books. I do this on my breaks at work, so that it doesn't interfere with the rest of my routines. Or I listen to podcasts while working out. I doubt most men are this proactive, and really doubt the guy would have been, and the coworker is a single dad, so there's got to be something wrong with him, right? I mean, that's a red flag in itself. Unlike me, I'm all green flags, all the time. Do you think I have anything to worry about? Update. I had almost forgot about this. I got on Reddit today because it came up on a Google search. Clicked and my profile worked. I see it's been 3 years since the last time I posted. We are the proud parents of an 18-month-old Steven. He is perfect. Now that Zoe doesn't breastfeed anymore, I'm able to get up solo and take care of Steven. I mean, I always got up when Zoe did all those times before to help out, but now Zoe is a lot fresher. She keeps telling me it's okay to sleep in, since she is a stay-at-home mom now. But I'm still using a lot of that time to clean up the house so she can stay focused on Steven during the day. I got another promotion. My salary and benefits are huge now. It does mean I have some availability to handle problems outside of hours though. We will try and start taking trips again or go for baby number 2 soon. It took a little bit of time to conceive, but I made the necessary adjustments to help it happen. We had a major setback one night. I had only slept like 14 hours in 4 days. I was exhausted and stressed. Zoe made best effort, but I just couldn't perform. The next day I made some major adjustments. I started eating Brazil nuts for the selenium, choking down spinach, added some green tea for the caffeine, balanced out my lifting with cardio. This was hard to do, because one day we marathoned the 3 Jumanji movies and she said The Rock was hot, which was huge wake-up call because this whole time I had been trying to have a more balanced physique, but now I know she prefers that big bulky look. So I've been trying pack on pounds of muscle, but then I needed to get my cardio up again to prevent another incident while we were trying. It's all worked out so far. With the baby now, I had to focus more. I created a schedule to make sure I was doing all the things I needed. So every day of the week has something in every category. I plan every meal for everyone each day. I've assigned a different room of the house each day. And I have 14 activities to do with my wife or my child, and I pick one each day. I also program my workouts to fit around all this. I know last time I posted people kept warning me that it was impossible to keep up at the pace I was going and I'd eventually burn out. But I haven't. I'm still keeping up, even here 3 years later. And most of that time has been with either a pregnant wife or a newborn. I also haven't heard her even mention someone else since the Rock incident, so I must be doing something right. I don't know anyone. I'm not better than at everything. With all that said though, I need to do better at hiding my distress sometimes. That I guess is my biggest problem. Zoe has been asking a lot about why I'm endlessly driven, why I won't let her help more. Stuff like that. I'm pretty good at diverting those questions and explaining them away. However, this week she actually asked me if I wanted to talk about her leaving that summer, and that she feels I rug swept the whole thing. I think this all stems from when she heard me crying one night. I thought she was asleep, but wasn't. I managed to cover it up, so no real harm. I can't let her know why I am like this. Then she will go, I still remember it, I deserve it, but I can't keep doing this. That's what she said. If I falter now, I may as well kiss my marriage goodbye. Update. I've failed. It's all fallen apart. This last year she has been pushing me. Ever since she became a Psalm, she became more aware of my habits. She wants me to see a therapist. She even offers couples counseling. I don't need a therapist. That implies there's something wrong with me. How can there be something wrong? I do it all. I've done it all forever. I tell her I'm fine. I don't know why she won't accept that. She keeps saying I don't sleep enough. I have workout addiction. I seem paranoid. I have no social life. I do those things to give us the life she wants. I stay fit for her. I'm not paranoid. I am just diligent of others. She has been going on about our lives, and I point out how well I've handled everything all these years. Why does she think I can't now? I can keep going. I don't need a break. And yeah, I faltered today, but they'll never have to worry about that happening again. It was her. She brought up the past more and more. She thinks it stems from when she left, and maybe it does, but I don't want to go back there. That was so long ago, and I've done so well since then. She just won't let it go. She keeps apologizing and telling me she loves me and wants the best for me. I know all that. She says I can't keep this up, says she knows how I feel, says I need help. She doesn't know. No one knows. Then this morning happened. It was just once. She went grocery shopping. I stayed with Steven. I was focused. I was playing with him. Then we started watching Spidey and Friends, and just sitting on the couch. I didn't mean to fall asleep. He was right by me. Zoe came home, found him in the kitchen. He had gotten into 2 boxes of cereal. It was everywhere. I popped up, immediately began to help, apologized. She scooped him up, told me to stop and relax. But there was this huge mess. She said I was manic, that this was what she was talking about. That I need to rest. I need to talk to a therapist. I snapped. I screamed at her. I told her to drop it, to appreciate what she has. That I was fucking fine, and wasn't some loser who needed help. I was better than that, better than everyone. She just stood there and took it. Then she looked me right in the eye and said, "Do not scream and cuss at me. I know you are struggling. It's okay. Go lay down. You need to rest." Then she grabbed Steven's go bag, took him and started for the door. I asked where she was going. She said, "Just rest please. I'm going to my mother's. I'm just taking a break." A break? I just stood there, quietly, watched her walk out. She needs a break. The last time there was a break, it broke me. I have done so much and it wasn't enough. I still failed to protect my son, and that's it. She's not coming back. I failed as husband and a father. I texted her brother, asked if he would come. He said he will be here in an hour. That should be it then. For those of you who followed me all these years, I guess you were right. No one's good enough, not even me. Update. Zoe's post. I've never posted on here before, but for those who followed my husband Sam over the years, I am Zoe. I linked his last post to this one. I'm only doing this because a lot of you showed him tremendous support, which I appreciate, and hope that anyone who finds themselves going through crisis like he was will get help. Those who followed him know that 6 months ago, we had an incident where he fell asleep while watching our son Steven. I wasn't angry, and I didn't blame him. I knew he was having a hard time. I was afraid. I had been trying to get him to get help for a while at that point, and with the emotion on the moment he snapped and lashed out. He hadn't done so in many years. At that point, I made a horrible mistake I regret more than all my other life regrets combined. I was frustrated, but thought a little space would help us both diffuse. I was calm. I told him I just needed a break. I meant just for a few hours, and we went to my mother's house. I never should have left him alone. About an hour and a half later, I got a call from my brother. He was so distressed. He had gotten a text from Sam asking for some help in the basement and to just let himself in. That's where he found him. He had hung himself from the basement ceiling. I hate that I couldn't see it sooner. Years went by before I really started to notice. It's just so hard when you're young. I was working too. We were trying to buy a house and have kids, travel. It was a whirlwind. When Steven came, I started to stay home. That's when I finally noticed. There had been hints, I just didn't want to see it, I guess. You just don't want to admit things to yourself. You want to think he did all this just because he wants to. You think you're reciprocating it. Reading his posts, I didn't even realize how much I missed. I know he was actively hiding his stress and habits. I know he rug swept all his emotions that could be taken negatively. But there were hints, why couldn't I see them? I'm the catalyst of his descent. I know I didn't deserve him after what I did. I've felt that shame for 8 years now. I've done everything I could think of to repent for my choices. I won't justify them. I was wrong, and I hurt someone I love beyond measure. I'm sure some of you wonder how I could do that to him. I wonder that myself often. It's easy to throw out the usual excuses. I was young, I was immature. To tell you the actual truth, it really was just FOMO, combined with having a few friends in my year, which I now realize they were not friends, and a schoolgirl crush on a classmate was all it took for me to traumatize the most important person in my life. It sounds so dumb written out, but it's true. The NRE lasted about a month, then it was 3 weeks of making up reasons to see it through. By time I left, I knew I had made a huge mistake, and came crawling back. I still shudder thinking how much I compartmentalized. The sight of him when I showed up has always haunted me. It's guilt I deserve and will always hold on to. For all the remorse I feel over what I did when I was 21, it pales to the feelings I have not being able to help him before it was too late. I think I have read his posts almost every day in these last 6 months. I failed him so much, I'll hold on to this pain for the rest of my life. I'll have to watch our son grow up without his father. Nothing will ever fill this void. I don't know what I wanted to accomplish with this, though it's been surprisingly cathartic. Maybe this will help someone else, someone holding on to something they can't handle on their own. If that's you, seek help. It's not weakness, it's strength. No one is perfect. No one can do it all on their own. Second story. I just need some encouragement after a really depressing night. I, 43M, and my WW, 46F, are 3 months post-A, both in IC and MC. She is fully committed to our marriage and I am fully committed to trying. It's going good. IDK, it's definitely going. Haven't done a whole "here is my story" post yet, but have been lurking pretty hardcore. As the title says, my WW and I had a really sad moment last night. I just need to hear something encouraging from someone or similar stories and how you dealt with it, or someone to say damn that sucks, or I know how you feel, or I don't really know what I'm looking for. Maybe I just want sympathy, empathy from a bunch of internet strangers I'll never meet. There are a bunch of songs, 19 of them. My WW sent her AP during their affair. She doesn't remember what they were, but I get insta-triggered when I hear one. Side note, she doesn't have access to it either. I found out about everything by looking at her old phone, and I'm not quite ready to give it up. A few days ago, one of the songs came on the radio at an unbelievably inconvenient moment in public. Not going to get into that story, but it was pretty humiliating for me. Anyway, she asked me to make a list of the songs so when it happens again, she can immediately spring into action to assist me. I thought, wow, what a great idea, and such a loving gesture. She is trying so hard and I truly appreciate her effort. And as I was going through and writing them down and really looking at them all for the first time, there was the song from our first dance at our wedding, "The Only One Who Gets Me" by Charles Kelly. Give it a listen. It's really a sweet song. Unfortunately, I'll never hear it the same way again, or remember our first dance the same way again. It was the only song on the list twice. Thing is, I don't know if that makes it any worse or not. We held each other and cried for hours, each comforting one another. There are just so many little things lost. And I'm still 100% committed to trying. But sometimes it all just feels like too much. Thank you for reading. I guess I just needed to vent. Update. How do I explain the humiliation? Specifically about WW's friends. This is seeking advice, but might turn into a rant, so here is the TLDR version first. WW's close friends who knew me knew about WW's affair while it was happening and actively encouraged it. I think WW expects nothing to change between me and her friends. How do I explain how humiliated I feel? We've been together 14 years and married for 6, and I would say WWZA with an X lasted the entire 14 years and intensified about 8 months before it became a PA for 2.5 years. PA was supposedly over for about a year before day 4.5 months ago. I've seen nothing to contradict this, so I'm believing my WW. I, 43M, and my WW, 47F, have been doing okay, I guess. There are good days and bad days, but that's to be expected. MC has been very helpful for us as a couple, and I wish we had started it a long time ago under different circumstances. Now we've wasted the better part of 2 MC sessions talking about this, and I'm not sure what my wife's desired resolution looks like. And honestly, I'm not sure what resolution would look like for me either. Just for background, I discovered WW's affair when I was looking for some pictures of the kids on her old phone. Saw some disturbing pictures, then had to read everything on that phone. Worst Christmas day of my life. Anyway, there are 3 friends, 2 of which have been my wife's friends literally her entire life, and 1 is fairly new, but is probably her best friend of the bunch. Add my wife and it's a group of 4. One of them has an open relationship with her husband, although she breaks all the rules of their open agreement. Another has been divorced 5 times because she's caught her husband's cheating and has cheated on them as well, and if I count correctly F'd at least 6 different guys during the 7-month window of my WW's affair. The last one is just so desperate to fit in with the group, and for men's approval it's almost sad. Drives hours to meet guys she's never met to give BJs. Blew a random guy behind a bar on a girls' trip. Blew another guy she never met in his car in a parking lot for his 21st birthday, etc. Not judging them, they can do whatever the hell they want. My problem is that they are, for all practical purposes, single, and my wife obviously is and was not, and when they all get together, they do drunk single party girl things. The first time I got truly angry about all this was when WW tried to tell me her friends didn't know. I was shocked. Do you not remember how I found how deep this all went was by reading your damn group chat? Seriously, WTF. The first time my WW had sex with her AP was on a girls' trip. It happened at the Airbnb they were all sharing. The 3 left, AP came over, they did their thing, and he left to go home to his wife. WW sent a picture of the torn up bed to their WhatsApp group chat, I guess as a way of saying all done. Then the jokes. Don't sleep in the wet spot, y'all a bunch of hoochies, Nashville Sexcapade 2020, etc. For another solo encounter, WW sent a screenshot of the Waze directions to the hotel where she was meeting AP, and immediately after a screenshot of Amazon Music playing that Megan Thee Stallion song Girls in the Hood. Listen to it if you don't know it. I had to. Not especially classy. Every time in their group chat one of the girls would say something about girls' trips, Nashville, sex, tequila, BJ's, cum, or anything like that, WW sent this stupid miss him gif. They would all giggle and send emoji or love it, sometimes mention his nickname, and WW took screenshot and sent them to her AP. She planned an encounter with AP at lunch with one of her friends. She bragged to AP that she didn't have to lie to them. This is all from reading their text group chat and screenshots of their group WhatsApp chat. Side note, I've figured out how to load the local WhatsApp backup and could read their secret group chat, as well as WW's conversations with AP. Not sure if I want though, because from what I've seen it's bad. Really, really bad. But when she tried to tell me they didn't know, I was furious. That is irrefutably false. then tried to say she meant they didn't know him. I actually believe they never met him, but saying they didn't know him is totally different than telling me they didn't know about the affair. Now it's they all love you and think you're great, and they never liked him for me and they disapproved the whole time. Never mind all the joking WWN crew did at my expense. The dehumanizing and only being able to see the negative is very real. But WW says they don't think any less of me now. Maybe that's true, although with all the shit she talked about me I doubt it. She says that if anything, they should look down on her for cheating. And while I don't disagree, they didn't sure as shit didn't during the affair and I'm sure they don't now either. There are only 3 of them, but they are my wife's best friends. Friends that I've been to dinner with, been to parties with, met their spouses and boyfriends, gone on vacation with. Thing is, I wouldn't have expected them to tell me. They were the only ones that knew, and they knew all along. The thought of doing anything with them in the future, or even seeing them makes me feel sick. How do I get me wife to understand how humiliated I feel? I know. How do you make your wayward partner get it, right? Seems like I read that question worded differently in every other post. They can never truly understand the pain. But how do I get her to understand how humiliating this, specifically in regards to her friend group, is to me? Update. Tomorrow is my birthday and my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Tomorrow I'll be 44. My parents' anniversary has always taken a backseat to my birthday because, well, I guess because they were really great parents. But this is a big one, so we're foregoing my day. Funny. My phone auto-corrected that today, and throwing them a party. A big-ass party. The kind that 50 years of love deserves. 6 months and a few days post-day, it was a rough Christmas day. And the last few years my birthday has been really depressing because my WW seemed to actively go out of her way to let me know she didn't give a shit. We've talked about this in MC, and I typed like 3 paragraphs about this and deleted them because it's all just bullshit. Making someone feel special one damn day out of the year isn't hard. But tomorrow is going to be tough. For all our talk in MC, nothing is going to be different tomorrow, except I'm going to have to smile and pretend I give a shit about catching up with my parents' friends all day. But what's worse is my parents have the marriage I wanted. I guess I'm here because me, WW, and my mom's sister were going through my parents' wedding pictures and I just lost it, had to leave. The words in my head just smacked me in the face. She stole my love story. Marriage is hard. It's supposed to be hard. So is everything else in life worth doing. But it's not supposed to be this. I don't know what I'm looking for here. Maybe someone has a miracle method for mental time travel? Or just advice for how to get through tomorrow. Or just wish me happy birthday. There is legitimately a tear running down my right cheek as I type this, and as silly as it sounds, I think that would be really nice.